Okay, so now we're going to talk about vertical shifting. And vertical shifting is just going to either push your graph up or push it down. It's going to adjust what we call the midline. Remember the midline, what we've been seeing has been this x-axis right here. And so basically what's going to happen is when we have that vertical shift, it's going to shift the midline, which is basically all of our zeros, up to that midline. Okay, so just discussing what each of these are here. This one's going to go up 1, y equals cosine x plus 3. That means you're going to take your cosine function and you're going to shift it up 3. This is going to take my cosine function and shift it down 2. And this is going to take my sine function and shift it down 4. All right, how does it change the constant in the constant? How is it changed? It basically shifts it up and down. Okay, so you're going to notice this number right out here is going to shift it up or down. Sometimes you might actually see d plus a sine of b times x plus c, where they put the shift up front, so you kind of start, you know where that midline is. But that's just sometimes. Okay, so let's look at this example here. Basically, we've got all the same things we've been looking at. We're going to sketch this curve. We see there's an amplitude of 2. It's a sine, so the rhythm's going to be, and it's a positive sign, so a 0, a max, a 0, a min, and then a 0. And instead of it being on the x-axis for zeros, they're all going to be a y value of 1. So instead of us going for each of those individual points by our quarter period, instead of it being that value and a 0, it's going to be that value and a positive 1. Okay, the other thing I like to do before, as soon as I know where my midline is I like to draw a dashed line to represent my midline. Okay, and so like I said, normally it's our x-axis, but now it's all shifted up. Okay, so the period now is 2 pi divided by the frequency, so that's going to be pi. My quarter period is going to be pi over 4. And my horizontal shift, it says plus pi over 4, so that means I'm going to actually go left pi over 4, and I'm going to start right here on the midline at negative pi over 4. So my first point there is going to be negative pi over 4 and 1. So like I said, instead of it being 0, we've now shifted the entire graph up 1. And so I'm going to add pi over 4 to every one of these values here. So negative pi over 4 plus pi over 4 is 0. And this is going to be my max. So now when I go to look at my max, I have to look at my amplitude. Okay, so I go to my midline plus my amplitude is my max. So I'm going to, my midline's 1 and my amplitude is 2, so I'm going to add 2 to that. And so this is going to be 3. Okay, then I need another 0, so 0 plus pi over 4 is a positive pi over 4. And that's also going to be at 1. Then I go another pi over 4, which puts me at pi over 2, and that's going to be at my minimum, which will be 1 minus 2, which is negative 1. And then my last 0, another pi over 4, would be 3 pi over 4, and back to a positive 1. So when I go to graph these, I've got 0, 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. and then I've got pi over 4 and 1, and then I've got pi over 2 and negative 1, and then I've got 3 pi over 4 and back to 0. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a negative 2. No, no, that's right, it's a negative 1. Oh, that's too high. I'm sorry. My mistake. That one's the one that's wrong. So there we are. Okay. And there's our sign with a vertical shift up 1 and horizontal shift of left pi over 4. Okay, here's another. I don't know what happened to this page, but everything kind of got all mixed up. But we're going to talk about, again, my midline. So you notice right here that the vertical shift right here is a negative 2. So at negative 2, I'm going to put my midline. Okay, my amplitude is 2. Now, this is a negative cosine. So the rhythm here is going to be your minimum, a 0, a max, a 0, and then a minimum. Okay. I have a phase shift of right pi over 6. Okay, and then I have a vertical shift that is down 2. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys work on this and then answer those next questions for your homework. Okay, thanks.